So, so like, when did it start? Like, when did you start? No, like, when was the realization that you kind of had this stutter, and how have you dealt with that? Like when you were a little kid.
Yeah, when I was younger, especially in elementary school, uh, I I would say right before I was adopted, and right before I was put into foster care, I always had a hard time being comfortable with people, and so it's a comfortability thing. And the more and more I'm with people, the more comfortable I am, or where I'm at in my element, it gets easier.
Yeah.
You know.
What what do you think your stutter was linked to any kind of trauma?
Oh yeah, man. My mom, but bless her heart, man. She's schizophrenic and she's recovering or an active addiction, but she was very abusive. She beat me as well as molested me, and that wasn't easy, man.
Yeah.
Because her boyfriends were just as bad, man. And like I had an older brother who I never met until I was in foster care, and just being scared and being vulnerable was extremely hard. And so that's why I was always angry and outgoing and pushing people away and just being out for everybody's acceptance, man. And so I didn't get help until with my third foster family. They got me a speech therapist, and so they had taught me how to control it, but also how to fake stutter to help me with my real stutter.
Oh,
If that
really?
makes sense. And so you'll notice that I would do the but, and then I would ease into my stutter, and that's just how it helps me.
Yeah.
But the more I get older, I actually absolutely love my stutter, man. I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
I've learned that I could read people with it.
Yeah.
If you're not worth my time,
Yeah.
I know with your impatience, I can invest my time into you.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You know, I've learned in my life that I only have a few amount of breaths on this earth, and I ain't gonna waste it on anybody who's not willing.
Yeah.
You know?
They can be patient with your stutter.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was it like being in foster care? Like, what's that? Is it you get? I mean, what does that look like? What's the process? Did it? I mean, you have families that were better families than others, and then after a while of being in one family, you move on to a next. Like, what's that like?
Uh, it was not easy, man. I was put into foster care on my fifth birthday. My mom, she had called her PO, and she had thoughts of harming me and my brother. And so I was actually put, it's messed up, but I, I was in my front lawn playing with my Matchbox cars, and then there's a lady who rolls up, and I had no idea what was happening, by the way. And she asked me, "Where's your mom?" And I was like, "I don't know, but I think she's inside with my brother." And they hurried inside with police officers, and she had told me to grab a plastic bag of all your toys and all that you want, and let's go. And that's all I know. And then I was checked in, unlike you do with treatment, and it was tough, man. I went through two group homes, and then I was in this foster adopt family who I thought would adopt me, and because of like my of my anger management and just like the fear and stuff and wanting to be accepted and living with my brother was hard, man. Everything that my brother did, I was always beaten for. My mom beat me for stupid shit.
Was he older than you or younger?
younger than me.
Yeah.
And so, like, I protected him. I was beaten for. And it was bad, man. Like, I was left at these gas stations at 4 and 5 years old, man. And just that memory of not being loved was preconditioned into my brain, man. And so when I was into the foster care, I had all this baggage, and a lot of addicts can relate of the worthlessness and the loss of hope. But like, I had this wired into me at a young age. So I never experienced love except for 2 foster families. Oh, and praise God, I still contact them and talk to them, man.
Really? They care.
Yeah.
So it was, how many foster families were you in?
4 foster families, 2 group homes, and a mental treatment center. One of my group homes was super toxic, man. I was 13 years old. All these high schoolers, and they tortured me, bro, with scary movies and with just being mean to me, man. And so I had night terrors and stuff, and I was screaming and crying in the middle of the night to the point that they kicked me out. And with my a behavior, I went to this recovery. Well, it's a mental treatment center, and from there, I got hooked on like my sexual addiction, and then I left and went into my third foster home, where I was actually seeing who my father. And so and with this father's actually like my adopted dad.
Yeah.
You know, so
yeah, bro. Yeah, that makes me sad, man. Like, I mean, you just growing up in a situation like that, and it wasn't your fault. You just were born into a situation like that where you were put in situations. But I think I don't know, like, I know you're a spiritual man and you found your higher power.
To be.
Yeah, like, what a blessing, the type of man that you become, and now you're in recovery, and you know, I listen to you in group, and I listen to the things you say to people, and it's powerful because of your story, you know, the stuff that you've been through, you know. And I think people maybe have a little hard time with your stutter, right?
Well, that's fine, yeah.
Yeah. But I like how you look at it like, you know what, like, this is me. This is what's happened to me, and my story is behind this.
Yeah.
If you're going to be patient enough to hear me out with this, then I'm going to be a blessing in your life, and you are, bro.
Thank you.
And I think, I don't know, you seem like a dude who's going to is like a fighter for Christ. You know, you're a kid that was put in the like the fire, the furnace of affliction, you know?
Yeah.
And you've been molded and treated, and now you've turned your will and life over to Christ, and here you are in recovery.
I'm happy that you mentioned that.
Being God's guy.
Yeah.
You know?
Ever since my second foster home, Leslie and Lacey Bostick, we went to church every Sunday, and they taught me everything about Jesus. And church was fun, man. They had youth group, church camp. It was fun, man. Being in a relationship with with Jesus was fun.
Yeah.
It was educational, and they created this environment that God is not judgmental. He's loving. And then I was saved when I was 13.
Yeah.
And then I actually fell away in high school because living in Torrance, California, bro, it's all about EDM and Avicii and dubstep and partying and smoking weed and skateboarding. And I fell hard, man.
Yeah.
I was sent to Utah for rehab. But ever since I was 13 years old, I wanted to be people famous. I was into poetry, man. I was drawing and stuff. I met this completely random guy at the airplane. Okay, he gave me this book on ways on how to think big by David Schwartz. I was 14 years old. I read that book 6 times, man.
Yeah.
And it talks about like your negative thinking and stuff, and actually instilling a whole new whole new outlook on your life, right? Where it's like, I am 1 years old. I have 80 years of production life left, right? And so it changed my whole mindset on my life, right?
Yeah.
So,
bro, I gotta say something. What's interesting about what you just said is you're 13 and you're saved. Like, that made me think of, like, you're a 13-year-old who's been that has lived a life so full that you think 13 is an older age. Most 13-year-olds aren't saying they got saved.
Yeah.
You know, like I got saved at 13, or at most 14-year-olds aren't reading a book 6 times, a self-help book.
No.
6 times. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
and so you've been put through those life experiences and got so many hard experiences packed into your life from 0 to 14.
Yeah.
That you're at 14 years old, you're reading self-help books, and and at 13 you got saved by Christ. That's a different thing. You know what I mean? Most 13-year-olds, I mean, me at 13, bro, I wasn't thinking like that.
Well, I wasn't either, man. I was living in 2 different realms. Like, my heart wanted to have purpose, but my exterior, the world that I was in, was so materialistic and was trying to pull me away. I call it evil. I call it Satan. It was trying to draw me away, and he won for a little while. But we all know, man, it's on God's timing, not my timing.
Right.
And so, literally, when I was shot, man, I was shot in the back of my head on my 25th birthday, downtown Salt Lake City. And I swear to God, man, my whole life felt like a movie. It was like God was playing this out, orchestrating a whole life so that the world could witness it. But as I got older, I dove into the Bible more and more. And there's these 2 people in the book of Revelation, okay, that bring the last 2/3 of God's people to Christ, and they're brutally murdered on a world scale. But for some sick way, I felt called to being one of those people. I thought, what an honor, man. Christ had died for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Wouldn't
it just be just as awesome to serve him and to bring as many people as I can to Christ?
Yeah.
And it's not even about the death, but like, I want to be that man. If there was a guy in this world, I would rather be that so you didn't have to.
Yeah.
I want to help people because I have been there, man. I know you have. But I think that there needs to be a new Billy Graham. I love Billy Graham, dude. He's so gangster, dude. But that's the old world. That's the old ideology. People nowadays need a guy who's non-biased, because Jesus is non-biased.
Right.
They need a person who's experienced some shit. A Billy Graham has, but not on like a modern day.
Yeah.
Right, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I want to be that bridge. I desperately am hungry for that. And so I've had this on my heart and I've been praying for it. I've been manifesting it. I have sought other things like with crystals and Nordic runes that drew me away. I even ripped on LSD, man, and I've seen some shit, man.
Yeah.
But that all drew me away from what God's purpose was for me. And so, but each pit was bringing me closer to him, whether I liked it or not. But when I was shot, it was like God sending a rip in the universe saying, I'm done with people screwing with Jonathan Geibel. I'm done with him and his actions ripping his life apart. And it was crazy because ever since then, it was like a light bulb came on and things just blew my mind. I didn't want to hurt people anymore. I wanted to be of service. And it was crazy, man.
So getting shot was your spirit, like a spiritual awakening.
Oh, it was one of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
And then you took Christ full time on, took Jesus Christ as your higher power full time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you've been searching after him. What was your drug of choice? It was meth, right?
No, it was actually cocaine and alcohol, man.
Really?
Yeah, bro. For me, with my ADHD and bipolar and my PTSD, it brought me down, man. It numbed me, but it numbed me so good that I didn't have to deal with myself, man.
Right.
You know, I was scrawny and skinny. You know,
it slowed you down and kind of helped you focus.
It kind of did, man, but it numbed my pain.
Yeah.
It didn't really slow me down, but it numbed it. I was hurting so bad. I lost my ex-wife in that same year. We divorced. I lost my job with Weber County. I was 24 years old, working for the government as a surveyor, and I was shot in the head all in the same year, man. And I was done. Look, I was there to party, and there was a bar fight that happened, and I saw a bar fight, and the bouncers had brought it outside. I'm like, oh, cool, man. Well, let's watch what's up. I saw a guy pull out a gun and was chasing people. And I was like, ain't no way in hell I'm going to let this happen. So I was on the phone with dispatch for 15 minutes. 15 minutes is a long time with the man with the gun. The next thing I know, I heard pop, 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 pop. And it was hot. Exactly like you tucked your the exhaust on like your motorcycle lawnmower. Hot, and it was wet everywhere.
On your head?
On my head, yeah.
Oh, shit.
Crazy. Hold on. You can barely see it, but there's a scar here.
Yeah, I can
It's freaking
see
wild. Yeah, it's wild, man. But I turned and it grazed my head.
Was he shooting at you?
No, what was crazy was he was shooting at another guy whom I will not actually disclose because of my life is at stake. Excuse me. But at that point in my life, I held my head. And then I knew from Boy Scouts and from Young Marines to hold your pressure wound, right? Or the puncture wound. And so the EMTs arrive and they're arguing with me. Sir, let us help you. And I was like, no, I'm fine. It was crazy. Oh. I didn't feel any pain after that, though. And so when the police arrive, they're arguing with me too. Sir, let us help you. And I'm like, I want to die. I have no purpose. And so they brought me into the ambulance. They removed my shirt and my pants, right? So, and they were searching
in your blood.
Blood everywhere. Exactly. And I have pictures to prove it. And the police reports. It's crazy. And so in the ER room, they cut my underwear. And so I'm butt naked in this ER room, right? And so in come Fox News, chief of police, and they asked me, here's me, I'm butt naked. And they're like, sir, how do you feel? And I'm like, they cut my lucky underwear.
Oh my God.
All of us just started dying laughing, bro, because all I could think about was my underwear being cut. But it's just wild, man. It was a wild experience.
So it just clipped your head.
Yeah, but it kind of gave me that courage that God wanted me to have, because high key, I felt like a badass, bro. Who do you know survived a bullet wound to the back of their head, bro?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like it drew this new form of ego into my heart. But then that guy who was supposed to be shot, he taught me. He kind of channeled that ego into like I would say like a gangster mindset, where it's just raw, real, straight up. And then I had to cultivate that. And so I went into rehab, into Brighton recovery, because my drugs got into dealing, into harmful behavior of others and myself. And I was so done with my life that I attempted suicide.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah.
And
So you got into, so after that, you kind of went into like the kind of almost, did you join a gang?
no.
But you were dealing drugs?
I was dealing, yeah.
Yeah. So you went into that kind of more criminal way of life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it was easy. Because like I felt like I had no purpose, and I was angry at God. I didn't blame him, but I was angry with him. I was like, God, why me, man? I wanted to be dead.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But with recovery, right in recovery, he spoke to me, taught me humility, and said, no, son, you're an alcoholic. You're not supposed to be in the bar in the first place. So why are you blaming me?
Yeah.
Because I blamed him. I was like, God, I didn't want to be here. And he taught me that. And he was like, no, I have a better purpose for you. You shouldn't even been there in the first place. Mm-hmm. What was wild was 2 nights before that, I haven't prayed that hard ever in my life. I was crying, bawling for several hours, man. I was asking God, what I need a breakthrough. I need a breakthrough. I'm so done, man.
Damn.
You know, and so then that happened. It was like a big slap in the face. Mm-hmm. You know?
Yeah, bro. Do you believe that if you stay sober and continue to do what you're doing, and with all the experience that you've had, do you believe that God's just going to take care of you?
Oh, he already has.
Yeah.
He already has. My thing is getting out of my way.
Yeah.
And that's like everybody's, you know, problem. But for some sick reason, I think that not that I have it worse, but that I'm held to a higher standard.
Yeah.
And it's not the ego, it's because I've been there. So I felt that I'm almost legally obligated to hold myself to a higher standard because I've been there. So
Yeah.
I should not treat you how I have been, you know, treated. And so in a way it's helped me, but it's been a huge issue too.
Yeah, bro. Well, you've been given the gift of a testimony of God, like that God's real.
Yeah. Oh, hands down.
So through your experiences, you've been offered the gift of a testimony of Christ.
Yeah.
And so that's pretty powerful. It's because once you know that and you felt God, and then if you turn your back on it, it seems like you're
going straight to hell.
It seems like your life can go hard. And it's the same thing with me, bro. Like,
of course.
Like I've bore my testimony. I've written books about Christ. I've talked about Christ.
That's awesome.
And when I don't stay close to him, my life doesn't go well. And I know that, like, people can say, you're too hard on yourself, Dustin. You know, God forgives. Yeah, I know Christ weeps when I misuse my free agency. I know I don't ever see him being mad, but I am held to, I know that I'm accountable. He's a higher power that can hold you accountable.
I agree.
And I wonder, it makes me wonder why, because a lot of people don't want to take Christ on as their higher power. And I wonder if it's because he's a higher power of accountability. I mean, when you bring Christ into your life, you naturally will be harder on yourself. Don't you agree?
I agree.
It's
because you realize the value and the action that Christ did to go after you. And like,
oh wow,
I know that when I was in high school, it was just me. But that's everybody's a malady, right? It is, we want to pursue what makes us happy. And so the thing is that when Christ sees you, he always does. But when you seek him and you make that choice, you're no longer you anymore. You belong to Jesus. And so
Yeah.
I think that's where
pulled you into the fold, like
exactly
the lost sheep. You know, you were You were wandering. He went and found that one lost sheep and brought you back.
But it feels alienated, which is okay. And that's why, like, I would like to, like, teach people that it's okay to feel alienated, because you're not alone, man. You're just on a new heightened level of self.
Yeah.
That is completely alien to you. So of course it's going to feel scary. Of course you're going to feel alone, because, bro, I drive all day, every day, amming out to Jesus music.
Yeah.
Who does that, man? It's like we're not of this world. And so I kind of like see it as badass, bro. Like I'm not of this world. I belong to Jesus. I belong to heaven. I'm not of this world, so why should I be like this world? And so
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's a special responsibility,
It is.
but it is a responsibility.
It is.
You know?
But that's why I think recovery is so important, because regardless whether you like it or not, it's the core of Jesus. It's the core of who God is, how powerful God is, man. And so I think that that's awesome, how recovery can be that bridge for people to open up their chakras, essentially, to Jesus, to a higher elevation, because he's there, whether you like it or not. And that's why, like, I tell people that there's a God up there who loves you. Sorry, tough shit, man. He wants to have a relationship with you so that you don't have to be in pain anymore, so you're not forever lost.
Yeah, I mean, becoming a drug addict is a blessing. And, you know, in your life, all the hard things that you've gone through is a blessing when you decide to take Christ on as your higher power, because then he gives you the understanding that I honestly believe, a lot of people don't believe in the premortal existence, but I do. I believe that before we came here, we were sitting in like a circle meeting with Christ, and he's like, Jonathan, you're going to go down and have a hard experience. You're going to be tried and tested, and tears and sweat and get shot in the head. You're going to have some hard things happen, but it's going to push you to finding me, and I'm going to make you into a great instrument that's going to be very helpful in the world. You know what I'm saying? And then all of a sudden, when you take that mindset into your life, or Christ into your life, now everything has purpose. Where if you wouldn't have found Christ or a higher power, like some people do it with a higher power, that you maybe wouldn't have captured. You'd have apathy.
Yeah.
Like, why is all this happening to me? Why is my life so hard? Right?
Can I ask you this?
Yeah.
So, because I love what you said, but I feel the essence of God speaking through Ruby right now.
Yeah.
And my only thing is this, okay? Because when we're born, I think that we're given that body 4 grandmas ago, and it's in the Bible though, okay?
Yeah.
And I think that God wouldn't ask you what you want to do in this life, because it's not about us.
Yeah.
And that's where, like, I challenge that. And it's no disrespect.
Yeah.
Because we are his people regardless. But God doesn't go ask you what kind of life you want to live.
Yeah.
That's the beauty in our life right now, is that we're making this choice now to follow him. And that's why it's so sweet and beautiful. But a part of me steps back hearing that, because all I hear is the human aspect.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I love what you said though, because
I think in the premortal existence, a plan was put together where, the devil was cast out.
Yep.
Right.
Yes,
and the war in heaven. And then, then it talks about in Job, we shouted for joy and raised our hand and we wanted to come into life to take on this tabernacle, this body, you know what I mean? But I don't think God said you have, I believe that the people who chose not to come here were the ones who didn't get bodies. You know what I'm saying? I mean, this is getting kind of deep, but like, but I like the idea,
deep,
but it's not, I don't think that I chose the hard life. I think, you know, it's that we were coming here to a planet that offers agency.
Yeah.
And we can misuse our agency.
Oh,
that
course,
was what we chat. Like I can come here and misuse my agency. I can become a drug addict.
It's called free will.
Free will, free agency.
Yeah.
And I always thought that like what I've learned is that the devil didn't want free agency. You know, that was what the war in heaven was about. I mean, we're going in. I'm not trying to get in an argument because I'm just saying. Yeah, I'm just saying what I believe. Like in the devil, he fought against free agency. He didn't necessarily want it. He wanted to lead everybody back. He wanted communism. Like, I'll be the leader. I'm the dictator. You know,
the ego, the arrogance.
And Christ came up and said, no.
He wanted to be like God,
meek.
And Jesus was like, no.
He's meek. He's like, I'll go to earth and I'll take upon their sins and die for them, and then they'll have free agency so that they can get closer to me.
But that's also why it's so important for us who are alive while we can to find that relationship with them, because when we die, we're judged, man, and people don't understand the depth of how far Jesus went, and Jesus goes continually to go after you. And so I believe that like he's always there in the room with you.
Yeah.
But when you continue to push him away, he gets tired. I believe there is a point where you make a choice and it's done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's why it's so sad, because I see people how Jesus would see them. I see him so beautiful, so handsome, so badass, so full of life and power, that if I could tear off a piece of like the piece that Jesus cloaks me with, I would give that in a heartbeat. And it,
bro,
and, you know,
the thing. Yeah, I always feel like God's with us. It's when we continue to miss, like, it's like the ego. Like I continue to misuse my agency, or I got 5 resentments, and that anger comes out, and I'm deciding to be in the ego, right? And when I live in that ego, and because it talks about in the Bible that God speaks through a still small voice.
Oh, yes, he does.
So I always take it back. That's what the man in the back is stepping back. I love that, stepping back from the ego, which is that hate, that resentment. You talked about anger, because you can't, when you're caught in that brainstorm, you can't hear the still small voice.
You actually block it out.
Yeah, you block it.
You can't serve 2 masters, man. So you're either in one headspace or the other.
Yeah, and you're trying. But then that's where I say, get anchored to breath, and get present, and start being the observer instead of just diving in and letting that ego voice take you.
I agree.
You start observing it, and if you set the intention to observe those thoughts, you start creating some space between you and those thoughts. And now you're the man in the back, and you have to. If you've been trapped in thought for a long time, you're addicted to thinking a certain way, especially if it's anger. And so then I pull back, and I have to set the intention, like I'm staying the observer. And then I usually get moving. So I'll do the present moment protection walks. And it's obviously a form of meditation.
Of course.
And then those thoughts can't survive.
Yeah.
And pretty soon I can start feeling that charitable warmth of the Holy Ghost coming back into my heart.
Yes,
and now the still small voice is starting. And that might take a while.
Yeah.
But
it takes practice.
But the thing that with that is like the intention of being the observer. You know what I'm saying?
I
We're
agree.
kind of rolling into Buddha, like that's more like the Buddhism and Eckhart Tolle's stuff that I've studied. But like, I believe that's how Christ was. Like, think about Christ in his ministry. He was never trapped in his head with fear or anger. He was present and could hear the voice of his father. He went for walks and separated his people so that he could get composed.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
And like I always think back, like one of the ones is I love is when he fell asleep on the boat. And all his disciples were
all freaking
they
out.
were freaking out, and he's just chilling, kicking it, and he's like, "What is something like, oh ye little of faith," or kind of was mad at him for not having faith.
Honestly, I'd be mad too, man. It's like, dude, I came here to
take a nap,
and you're freaking,
yeah. And then so it's like he, so I know he was the man in the back. He is the man in the back. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and
that's awesome.
And it's a way of selling it to myself, the man in the back.
I love that, man.
Or whoever wants to jump on, but that's really helped me, because when I am the man in the back, and I am close to God, I am closest to God. I'm meek. I'm lowly. I've created some distance between that ego. And then I can hear the still small voice, which will lead me to sending out a healthy text. And that day me and you had that text conversation.
Yeah.
I'm the man in the back. I want to talk to people. I want to be charitable. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Yes, sir.
But I can go, all of a sudden now I get trapped in fear, because really all resentments are, and everything that we deal with in our heads, like, I've been hearing you in group talk about, like, you're worried about, you don't feel accomplished, maybe because you're in a time in your life right now where you're not working and you're trying to figure that whole thing out. And that, when if you get attached to all that, right, and you start believing it, like, oh, but really, bro, maybe God's sitting you down. Really, you just need to stay sober.
Oh, of course.
You make it a day sober, and just because you're God's maybe sitting you down with work, and you're having a time where you get to do spiritual work throughout the day, like, I don't know, what are you going to do? If you can hop on the side where you're fearful all the time and then start talking bad to yourself, right? Or you can step back and away from those thoughts, be the man in the back, read your scriptures, send out some healthy texts, come over to SOAR, what's up, at nights, help people, and then just do. Obviously, you have to put one foot in front of the other and keep looking.
I agree.
And what you are doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You hit me up the other day, like, hey man, you let me know. And so, God, I don't know, God's got you. And I'm talking to myself too, bro, because I get fearful. Like, there's all day long I got to be separating myself from that fear. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I love what you said with the man in the back. I think that the window of tolerance grows and grows. And so there's a program that actually teaches that too, on a different level, where it's like you have your goals and you write them out, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like, what will bring me to, like, the thoughts of recovery and the actions of recovery to peace. And then obviously with the opposites, right? And so your window of your patience grows and grows, and you can essentially handle more. And so I think, like, it's crazy. I've been watching YouTube videos of this wonderful lady who's married, a woman of God called Estelle. I always mess up her name. Great lady. And she just, every video ever since November has rang true with me, where it's like, another blessing will happen, but you have to create that firm foundation in Him. Otherwise, you can't handle the next blessing. And you know what? I feel empowered, because when I feel all this pressure and intense anxiety, which with the substance, I would have panicked and used and been angry, but now it's gone easier, where I'm actually seeing it as like the evil one's trying to bring me down. He's trying so hard. We forget that we are made in God's image.
Yeah.
And so that He who is in us is stronger than anything in this world, man, if we lean on Christ, man. And so I think that what's been helpful is that I know God's working. Even though I don't see it, I know He's working. He's always working. And what helped me was when Estelle had mentioned, is that there are doors that and seeds that are being planted through Christ that just take time. Who knows, man? He could be talking with you and just planting these seeds, but because of your free agency and yours, you have to work that out through him. But everything that's good is because of Jesus. Your smile, the way you wake up, right? Everything that's good is because of God.
Yeah.
And so, like, I see, like, SOAR. I see my recovery. I see my daughter, man.
Yeah,
I see my daughter, dude.
Your daughter's just beautiful, bro.
Thank you, man. I'm blessed, bro.
What a dad you are.
Thank you,
well,
man.
but I think too, like, I love how you bring her over here, bro. And then
I want her
she
to
sees the
see
kid.
a man of God. I want her to see a God, just an average Joe, just work his recovery, because I want her to feel secure, to feel like she has other areas to work in.
Yeah.
And that's why with my recovery, Jim, that I've been so hungry for,
Right.
back to life recovery, I want to create a place where people with mental health and addiction have a safe space where they can meet other like-minded people like us and be like, I can come here when my whole world's hell.
Yeah.
Because I don't trust church. I don't trust home, but there's still a place to go where I can be with good people.
And I want to help you with that, bro. I want to help you get there with that. The thing that I was thinking is, like, the best thing you can do is just continue to grow your competency in the gym. With
I've been working really hard.
Like your front rack and everything that, like I was telling you yesterday, and like, I'll help you, bro. Like,
thank you.
Because I'm the student to coach model. Like, I want to help you become a good coach, recovery coach. You know what I'm saying? And
Yes,
I'll help you do that.
Yeah, thank you.
And that'll be a special little journey. But it's, you just start in this little system that we got going here. Start.
Mm-hmm.
You'll move into that the big dog group, or the alumni group,
mm-hmm.
and then you can take a night, and that night where you're going to run group. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we're developing it. We're probably gonna have to. We've talked about it before. We're probably gonna have to create a few more groups, because it's just the thing with SOAR that's amazing, that I love. Like, the most beautiful thing about SOAR is its ability to keep the alumni.
Yeah.
The family just keeps getting bigger and bigger.
I like that,
and,
too.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
telling Frank, like, it's not going to be unrealistic to think that we're going to grow out of this gym. We're going to need a bigger gym, or we're going to need another little
location.
space.
Yeah.
Eventually.
Time.
But I like what you're saying, bro. I mean, you're on that journey to becoming a recovery coach, and a missionary.
Mm-hmm.
Recovery coach, missionary. Working with people and leading them to change, and that's what my life's been built upon. I like working with people that want to become coaches, like, taking their recovery. Like, look what's happened with SOAR, right? So Frank, when I first met Frank, he was just off heroin, living on the streets in Salt Lake, living in his truck, heroin addict. And I remember I've said this a few times, but I was like, this dude's talented. Like, he's smarter than me, like, with business. He's good with numbers, which there's a lot of things I'm just not good at. Like, and I'm fine with that. Like, and Frank, so bringing him in here and him getting and coaching him, and then he becomes this, the executive director of this place. And, I couldn't be the executive director of this place. Like, I think I tried and I couldn't, I think my talents are in coaching, recovery coaching, and working with people and working with kids. And I think that's about it.
Okay,
these things like here, but I'm not a good finance guy, and
I'm not either.
But I found Frank, and then Cord, who
Cord's cool dude.
Cord came, and that dude, his competency in the gym is, he's taking it to another level. So he comes in here, and then he goes and gets his his license
Yeah.
to become a therapist, you know?
Yeah, that's cool.
And so really this gym's been built on other people's art, you know, my art, Cord's art now, Frank's art, Reikley coming in.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Now he's
bro.
creating art, and yeah, that's just a sick little system. You know what I'm saying? And I don't ever want that to change.
Yeah, I think that's one of the special things about SOAR is that it's not a place that feels like it takes you in, works you, and spits you out in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
And you can see that because of you guys and hearing your stories.
I agree.
Yeah.
And that what has kept everybody around is like everybody has the opportunity to give their input.
Yeah.
You know, whether it be just in group or in the chats and all of that, but that grows it's got unlimited potential for as much energy as you want to put towards this program.
Yeah.
That's why it's growing.
Yeah.
Because it's not, when you come in here, the counselors aren't above you. It didn't have that energy when I came in. I could genuinely connect, you know, and I could see how much everyone's lives had been impacted.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's what's inspired me to stick around. You know, I quickly learned that it wasn't just a 3-month program.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's
And
more
you
than
quick,
that.
and you, one thing I love about you too, bro, is you quickly learn that it's not just the gym, because you got that leg,
Yeah.
you know, and you got, I mean, it can't
That's
be,
tough.
it can't just be the gym for you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's why I'm so grateful that me and you paired up with this,
Yeah,
you know,
me
like
too.
God.
Me
you know.
too. I was really, I remember like right before you were putting this together, I was really hoping and looking for some way to be more involved with this place, something to anchor me here, you know, because, you know, I kind of, my attendance had kind of gone in and out, you know, once I finished the 3 months and stuff, but I really was like, dude, I want some way to be more involved.
Yeah.
And I told Frank that too, talked about being like a counselor or like a coach.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, like all that opportunity's here.
Yeah.
And just keep coming, you know.
And do you guys like people bring their art and we accept it?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying by
like
art? Like, I'm not talking about drawing pictures, just like your style and your mentality. And I want that to keep going. It's pretty incredible how it's all going and how it's gotten more organized. And with, you know, now we got like Kyle, and
Kyle's a cool dude,
he's
man.
running organized with like all the drug testing and you know, I was kind of like the drug testing thing, but like the drug testing thing's a blessing. Like even for me, like now, like I like getting drug tested. I'm not
Hold yourself accountable.
I'm not trying to fail a drug test. No. So like, so when it comes in, I'm driving, I get the, you know, coming up on 5 months off that kratom, but like I'm driving to home from work, and every day it pops into my mind, it'd be nice. And then I'm like, and then I just go right to the dark side like of it. And then it's like, but I'm drug tested. I'm not interested in being kicked out of SOAR again. I'm not interested in not being able to stop. I'm just this, as hard as life is sober, it's just better. And it's not as hard.
And like,
it's not.
I have mad respect for you, man, because in my early recovery, I got 18 months sober.
Yeah.
I did motivational speaking. I went to Texas, to Arizona, and told my story, man. And so I relapsed, and I felt like I felt unworthy all over again, and I couldn't get back on the horse.
Right.
And so now that I am, I have mad respect, man. You have established such an amazing program and have helped so many people. Like, I admire that. And then to have had a mishap, which you're human, but you're back at it. How does it feel? How have you been handling that? What has been some obstacles within yourself? Because I'm sure that if you're anything like me, you take it super hard with your accountability, bro.
Oh, yeah.
That must be like huge,
I did some damage. Like, you know, that's where this man in the back came from, this suffering and my ego and being being mad at Frank. I mean, I was mad at Frank. I was mad at Cord. I was mad at Neil and Kyle and those guys, and I mean, and JT, all these dudes, and they were all giving me advice, like hard advice.
Yeah.
You know how
Yeah.
but when you're sick and you're struggling,
You're not hearing it.
I told Frank this the other night. I was like telling him, I was like, remember when? Because I used to say this. I was like, the only part of my life that's going bad is when I come to SOAR. Like because I was using it, and I thought just being around my family, everything's going good and stuff, and it was I was so sick. And I remember when I was leaving, Kyle picked me up and was taking me to rehab down in Salt Lake, and I remember I didn't think it was affecting my kids, and I looked at my daughter, and she had tears in her eyes, and my son was like, Bodie, same thing, tears in his, like, and then I was like, oh wow, like it woke me up like that, bro. Like I honestly quit doing Kratom right then. Like I remember,
Good.
I mean, when I went to Wasatch, but I was done with it after seeing that in my kids' eyes. Like no one believed me at the time, because everyone thought, because I ended up leaving Wasatch after 3 days. Like I was like, I didn't want to be, and then I enrolled in a day treatment, a partial hospitalization program.
Nice.
Action. And everyone was like, at the treatment, they're like, you just want to use. I'm like, no, I'm done using. I'm done.
Yeah, man.
And I just, the 3, some people need 30 days inpatient. I needed 3, and I'm not out of the weeds yet. I'm not out of the weeds yet, with none of us are, you know what I'm saying? But it was a wild, but the thing that where the man in the back came from was like what you said, bro. Like if I was going to burn down my relationships, I was miserable. I couldn't let go of these resentments. I felt like SOAR put me in the corner, and I saw it kind of going on without me.
Yeah.
And a part of me was like, I guess no one needs me now. Like, and I kind of wanted to come in, but then I remember I was having a conversation with JT, and JT's like, bro, just enjoy SOAR. Look what it's going on. Like the measure of a good business is if you can get it to a point where it doesn't need you.
Yeah, man.
What's wrong with it not needing you? What? Yeah. And I thought, damn, that's so true. Why don't I just enjoy this? This is amazing.
Yeah.
Look, this is what I always dreamed of happening, was for SOAR to just do this, and now I'm miserable about it. Yeah. And so like but I was caught in that narrative, and that's where like the man in the back, I was like, and I had to be a watcher for that narrative, because if I kept attaching to it, I get angry, send out mean texts, practice what I'm going to say to people, and
you've even like change your language too, like no more cussing.
Yeah,
like,
no more
that's
cussing.
So cool.
Yeah,
I've been working on that too ever since you mentioned that.
It's just little things, and but yeah, bro, like it's been a wild ride, but I think I'm thankful for it. I think I needed to know about Kratom. And I don't ever think I was completely thought I was powerless until now. Like that's kind of a good feeling, like to know, like I really know that now, like
that you're not God, and that
if
you actually have some, some work to put in.
Like if I take a substance now, even if I just went and smoked weed today, right? I just went and smoked after this. Like, there's going to be a dip in my mood from that weed. I know that at some point. Yeah. And then guess what is going to come into my mind when my mood dips? The Sinclair. And I know I will go get it. And if I go get that substance, I can't stop.
That's
and
like
so,
me with alcohol,
so there's just nothing I can do. Like I'm just going to stay sober. I can't, I'm not trying to ruin my life. I'm not trying to misuse my agency and have that misuse of my free agency affect my wife and kids and everyone at SOAR and all my friendships.
Yeah.
Well, it's seen, man. You are seen, and you are madly respected, man. And the fact that you're back in here and you're humble, like, and you're working your program and you're going into these groups with me, who I'm anew with SOAR, and it's just been a blessing, man. I look up to you, Hawk. Like,
Thanks,
there
bro.
are a lot of qualities you have that I want to have.
Yeah,
and it's not like
you too, bro. For me,
stroking your ego is like, you are a good dude, a good husband, a good father, and it's like, I have those things, but
Yeah.
I want to be where you're at.
yeah. Thank you, bro.
You know what I mean? And like, ultimately, it's not about us, man. It's about our kids and about Jesus and helping as many people as we can. And I don't think that God will ever hold that against us, man. And so life is just a process, and we're killing it. And that's what, like, I have a hard time accepting at times, is because I'm always in that fear of like, well, when am I going to be off the rocker again? And it's like,
Yeah.
I'm afraid of that. But now it's like, I have people like you have no idea lately how much you guys and SOAR have meant to me, man. Like, just being called, just being hit up, asked if I needed help, man. I was always that guy who always asked people, hey, do you need a ride? Not to get anything back, but just to genuinely be there for people.
Yeah, I see that in you,
You
bro.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, and it feels good to have that returned. And like, at this point, like, the peace and the chaos, I think is beautiful, man. I think that we're all badasses and we deserve to have that. And I think that recovery and what you're doing with SOAR and the man in the back, that's gangster, dude. That bridges the word of God into everyday life that people who aren't spiritual can relate to. And that's why, like, I think that all good power and like a good light is of God, because they're tools, but it's how you use that tool to honor God or for our own self usage.
So you want to hear, this is pretty cool, bro. I prayed throughout, I've been praying throughout the week, like who to have on the podcast, you know?
Yeah.
And so I was praying about it, and that night I had a dream that it was you should be on the podcast.
No way. That's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, you know, you don't know what that is. I kind of know what it is. I believed it. I went with it. You know what I mean? And
thank you.
But like, I want to say about your stutter, and this keeps popping in my head, is I think the stutter for you, bro, is a way that God's keeping you humble.
Oh, hands down, man.
Like, cause you have a big voice, and I think it slows it down a little bit, so that you remain meek. What do you think about? What do you think about that?
I never actually viewed it that way, but
because you could be, if you didn't have your stutter, you would be you would maybe be. What if you were too vulgar and too like loud and aggressive?
That's
because
That's
of it.
crazy
You know
that
what I'm
said
saying?
that. Yeah, it's funny. Whenever I'm angry or I sing, it goes away. It completely goes away. It's like, what in the F is happening, bro? It's night and day. And so that's why, like, I tend to talk louder, because if I talk louder, it actually subsides a little bit. But I do have to be careful around women, dude. I notice, especially with women, and it's not being sexist, but with our voice tones matter. And so with my daughter, with my ex-wife, I have to talk very calmly or approach it very, but with my speech impediment, it's frustrating, because it's like I want to talk without the speech impediment, and so when I'm angry, it's like I gotta, come on, Turbo, come on, Jonathan.
Yeah.
But it's funny.
I don't know. I
mentioned that.
I just thought I'd throw that out there.
No, yeah.
But I keep getting that feeling about it, and I think it's
I think it does.
I think it's a gift, and like, I love how you own it. You're just like, and I think you should keep that mentality up with it.
I'll do my best to.
The
I
mentality
keep
up
that,
with that it's a gift, that like,
it is a gift.
Yeah.
But I want to be a voice for everybody who has issues like that.
Yeah.
Because we all have a deficit in some way or form, but I just hope that I can inspire and instill love and life into people so that they could be like, I can relate. I have that. Like, or with acne, maybe you're bald,
Yeah.
or maybe you're short, man, or maybe you're overweight. That doesn't change who you are as a person. You're a badass, beautiful individual. God said you are. And that's why, like, I had this new like outlook on life because of my spirituality and because of recovery, is because I'm clean, I'm present, and I can actually see people for the way God wants me to see them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, bro.
We're all children, man. And so we should be like seen and sought after as children. And like, it's hard, man. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard because us men, man, we have our needs, and women, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We have our needs that we want to be met. And we want met, but is it the will of God?
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly, bro. Well, I love you, bro.
I love you too,
Thank you
man.
for coming on here. Like,
Thank
this
you.
is a special experience. We'll just keep at
I love
it.
you guys, man. Thank
and
you
then
for
I'll
having
have
me.
we'll do it again. We'll do it again, bro.
Please, man.
Love you, bro.
I love you too.
Thank you.